It is a female. Well done. There we go. Hello, Tandy. What are you doing all the way down this side of the world? This is the furthest I've seen Tandy on the sort of western side in a long, long time. And you can see she's scent marking heavily. Now, that, in a way, could be a little concerning. It's not often cats scent mark like this and draw attention to themselves when they've got cubs. We know her so far, she's been kind of trying to fly under the radar. Also, we have a situation where maybe, just maybe, she's decided, hang on a second, there's other females that are coming into my territory. I'm going to come and make sure that everybody knows I'm still the dominant girl in this area. So that could be what this is all about. It could be a situation where she has just decided Shadulu is pushing far too far in. I'm going to make sure that everybody knows this is my territory, and kind of comes and marks. But it does worry me a little bit when I see a cat marking like this that should theoretically have a cub, especially one that has been hiding her cub as much as what Tandy has. But how exciting is that we've managed to find her? It's so cool. I miss Tandy. It was so nice when we had her for so many months, you know, day in, day out. And now we kind of have gone through this phase where we didn't have much of her, so it's awesome to have her around, and we'll think positive vibes rather than negative vibes. Now, I'm going to stop right here. We're going to have a bit of an obscured view as she comes through past this foliage, but she should walk right past the car, which is fantastic, and I'm hoping what she's going to do is walk towards Shabamu, drink at Shabamu Pans, and then cut back northwards again. But this is definitely the furthest I've seen Tandy since prior to her falling pregnant in terms of coming west. So it gives you an idea of how far west she actually is at the moment. She's approaching Shabamu, which we know Shadulu spends time. And look, scent marking, urinating, rubbing her face. These are all signs that she is making a bold statement that this is still her territory. And maybe, just maybe, she picked up the scent of Shadulu and has said, enough. I'm not having any of this with another girl in my area. But how cool is that? It's very, very cool to see Tandy. Now, her feet have seem a little bit bigger than normal, because Björn and I were like, it looks like Tandy, but it's not quite. And maybe we're just rusty from tracking Tandy. Now, Nikia is the furthest west that we've seen her. There's also lots of tracks for male leopard also in this area, so let's see what happens here. Maybe Hukamuri's been up and down this section. Now, I'm just basically bypassing her a little bit, and I'm going to set ourselves up to try and sit at Shabamu Pans, which is going to hopefully be a good place for us to watch her kind of walking straight towards us and potentially then going to go and drink. It's the best kind of area that we can use. So, guide monkey, I mean, it's potentially, yes, she could have lost her cub. That's why she's marking the way she is. But difficult to say without knowing for sure. We'll have to just see what her behavior is over the next little bit. She still has a bit of a kind of saggy tummy with milk that she was producing. So that will obviously dry up over time if she has lost the cub. But it's going to be interesting to see. It's just that this is not like Tandy at all. This is not her area that she's been hanging around in for many, many months now. Like I say, even prior to her giving birth, when she was still pregnant, she didn't even head in this direction. So I'm very surprised to see her this far. When we were tracking her earlier and I showed you where the dung was, that is an area where I would definitely think that Tandy would spend time. She loves that section, and she's just kind of walked through all the way. And like I say, maybe she just picked up the scent that there's another female been around, but she's definitely marking heavily and moving straight towards where we are. No, don't go that way now, Tandy. Don't go south. Stay on our side. No, don't go that way, girl. No, it looks like she's going to go south into Little Gowrie, which is not ideal at all. I was hoping she was going to walk straight towards us, but it looks as though she's caught the scent of something, and she's decided she's going to head further south. It's not ideal. No, I believe she's coming back to the fire break, which is good news. So we'll just kind of come back here and just see. There she is. Now, is she going to head towards Shabamu Pans? I'm going to stop here so that she's got space should she want to go past me. There she goes, right past where we are. So Djuma, it depends on environmental conditions, depends on how much rain, wind, water, these kind of things fall, as to how long a scent mark will last. But for a leopard, it will last a number of weeks. It's not going to be something that disappears over 1 week, and that's why territorial females are able to keep their sort of boundaries for quite long periods of time, and why they actually go and mark their boundaries heavily when they are just before they give birth, and that lasts for the first couple of weeks while they're still trying to sort of figure everything out. But look, she's sniffing around. Now, the last leopard to walk in this direction was Hukamuri. This is where Brent was tracking Hukamuri the other day and had a brief view of him. And look, she's scent marking everywhere. So Hukamuri, if he walks here, is going to pick up the scent of Tandy very, very quickly. And the only reason I think she could be scent marking is if either, like I say, she's come across Shadulu's scent, or there's a situation where potentially she's lost her cub and she's just re-establishing her territory. What sometimes does happen though, and I've seen this with Salayesh before and even Karula, is when they do have cubs like this, they go into a phase where they disappear. What are you doing, girl? Put her head in the bush. And they disappear, and then they get into a situation where they decide, hang on a second, we're going to try and kind of go back and just re-establish our territory in case others have come in while she's kind of been on the run. So that's what it could be, but it is intriguing that we haven't seen any sign of cub tracks yet, and it will be interesting to monitor her kind of behavior during the course of today and where she actually heads to, because it is a bit worrying that she's marking all the way out here, because Hukamuri is going to pick up her scent in this area. There's no chance that he won't walk in this section. This is an area that he's walked many times over the last few months, and an area that he uses frequently. So if she's scenting like this, he is going to find her scent, and it's not good if she's got the cub, because he'll follow that as much as he can. You know, he's on the prowl now for new females, and he's a male in his prime, so he wants to mate as much as possible. Look, she's going on her back legs and rubbing her face, so tail will go up and she'll urinate, and then she's going to carry on. I thought maybe she would go and have a drink of water, but she's not. She is looking absolutely amazing, though. She's looking a little slimmer, so post-baby kind of slimming down for Tandy at the moment, but just also sniffing around heavily. See how she's smelling the grass everywhere? So she's picked up the scent for sure that there is somebody else in this area. Oh, what happened, girl? I don't know what happened. Nobody even moved or anything, and she just got a fright from, I think maybe a piece of grass hit her in the face or something, but she got an absolute fright and jumped into the air as though something was there. You can also see she was curling back her lips and kind of phlegm grimacing at the same time. Shame, girl. She's probably on high alert, as you say, Nikki, because if she's all the way out here, she hasn't been here for ages, and this is going to mean that she's going to be a little on the stress side. But so epic that we found those tracks. I'm so excited that we actually put in some effort to try and find them. And I was saying to Vian, the way that they're walking is typical of both Tandy and Shadow. But this time, Tandy is going way, 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 way west, considering where she normally hangs out. Now, if she cuts west from here, I don't think I've ever seen Tandy on the western side of this area. No, we're going back towards Shabamu. Tandy, do not go this way, please. Now, this is not a good way for Tandy to go, because she is walking straight to where the Nkuhumas have been lying the last 2 days, and so hopefully she picks up that scent before she gets anywhere close. Right, while we follow her and see which way she does go, let's send you back across to Steve, who I believe is doing some more birding and looking at a rather large feathered friend. Well, she's just spotted something now, and she's kind of looking deeper into the thickets, and look, she's got that typical cat on a prowl sort of strut that they get when they spot something and they're interested. So I don't know what it is yet. I can't see anything. I'm trying to kind of have a look, but she's walking in that general direction and stopping and looking and stopping and looking, and you can see, look at how her head is twitching at any movement in here. So maybe there's a steenbok or a duiker or something like that that she's spotted that she's looking at, because this area here is full of those. As we drove the other day trying to find Hukamuri, we disturbed so many of them through this area that I'm pretty sure that might be what she's watching. VM, I'm going to just go forward a little bit for you, because VM's got a bit of a situation. There's a lot of branches, and she's actually going to be right out in the open if I just go forward to there. So there she is, kind of standing. See the tail just gently twitching, which is always an indication of a situation where a leopard is interested. When they are interested, their tail gives away their kind of eagerness, because it'll twitch and it'll move. You see, look how she's looking. Now, she seems as though she's staring right into this bush, so I wonder if it's maybe a scrub hare that she's hunting, because we know she likes scrub hares. The last time we saw her was with the scrub hare, and maybe that's what she's looking for. But isn't this cool to see that Tandy is around? And I'm so glad that she's this side. I hope that the cub is okay, but it's good to see that she's putting her kind of mark down again and just making sure that her boundaries are protected. But I have no idea what she's watching. She's kind of staring off into that thicket as though there's something in there that she's busy. There we go. You see, she's staring. I think it's a scrub hare. That's the only animal that would sit like that and lie down in that particular way would be something like a scrub hare. The way that she's looking, she's almost looking down. She's not looking forward. So I think it might be something like that. Let's see. No, she's creeping forward. You see, keeping her body profile nice and low, making sure that she's not easily visible at all. There she goes behind the bush. So we're going to have to move a little bit. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to see her. Becky, she might be looking for Hukamuri. I'd be very surprised if she is, if she still has the cub. If she doesn't have the cub, then yes, she would look for him. The thing is, though, is we saw her, 4 days ago? Was it 4 days ago? I don't know, somewhere around there. And she still had the cub with her, and so she can't have come into an estrus cycle in that short space of time. So it's not that she's come into an estrus cycle and is now looking to mate. I think it's more a situation that she just hasn't been patrolling her territory nearly as much as she used to, and maybe she's decided that this is time now to kind of just make sure that everybody knows this is still hers. Or, like I say, she's lost the cub and she's now just advertising that this is, coming back just to make sure her territory is then established again. But she's going to fight with Shadulu if she comes all the way to this direction, because Shadulu walks this area as well and is seen in this section fairly regularly too. So Magic Dragon Wizard, losing her cub would put her back into a estrus cycle, but not right away. It wouldn't cause it to happen like that. It takes about 3-4 weeks until she starts getting back into estrus. Now, she's walking pretty much straight towards where I am at the moment. I don't see any sign of any prey animals anywhere near me. I'm going very slowly just so as I don't disturb anything. Let's see, now where did she go? She was right here. Oh, there she is. She's going back away from us, Wildy. Tandy is a busy cat this afternoon, so let's try and get back to where she is. She's kind of, I thought she was going to come more this way, but it seems as though she's now going back the way we've just come. So I'll try and keep up with her. In fact, she's actually going back to the road, which is interesting. I would have thought that she was very interested in whatever it was, and I would have thought that she would have kept stalking it, but it seems as though she's going to go back towards the road and continue her patrol northwards and carry on. So, Lady Starfire, we don't know where she last stashed the cub. We just know the last time she was with the cub, with the scrub hare, was in the drainage line off Nyala Road South. Now, she came from that area. We got her tracks coming from Nyala Road South, through Spaghetti Junction, down Twin Dams Road, across the block to Weaver's Nest to Firebreak onto Gari Main back onto Firebreak, back towards Shabamu. But the distance from Nyala Road South to here is massive. So it's a long, long way that she's traveled, and it's in a situation where she's moved a lot further than she has in a long time. And look how she's sniffing around. You can see she's watching, not watching, but she's very aware that somebody else is around here, and so she's smelling, and the last male or last leopard to walk here that we know of was Hukamuri. So I think she's just gathering intel at this stage, and she's sniffing and smelling and probably working out exactly what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised she pops her head up in a phlegm and grimace and kind of looks towards us with her lips curled back, using that organ of Jacobson. There we go, look at that. So you can see she's using that organ of Jacobson to try and work out exactly who this is, what they're doing here, and whether or not this is now a threat to her. So She's gathered valuable information from whoever urinated there, whether it be Shadulu, Hukumuri, one of these new males. It's difficult to say. I would hazard a guess that it's Hukumuri, given that we're on the edge of a road, and this is where male leopards generally will scent mark right on the edge of roads. So let's try and keep up with her. She's going to smell the lions fairly shortly, because this is where the lions went from when they killed the kudu, not yesterday, well, not last night, the night before. So she should pick up the scent of the lions, and she's actually heading the right way. The lions are quite far to our east now, and so as long as she keeps going northwards on this road, she's going to be absolutely fine. So that's all good. Oh, sorry, Tandy, I didn't see you stopping there. It's too busy looking at the camera. Oopsie. Now, we're going to have to play a little bit of a leapfrog effect, because we can't hog the front all the time. We need to allow the others to also have a little bit of a view. And so let's just see where she goes from here, and then we'll pull over and let the others have a chance. But you see how she's sniffing. It's almost like she is tracking one of the other leopards in this particular area, smelling everywhere she goes. And where she can't smell anything, she then scent marks. So I think she's working out exactly what's going on. And you see how she loses the scent, then she goes back again, then she goes forward, then she goes back again, then she goes forward, then she goes back again. So she's definitely trying to work out who these leopards are that have been walking around. And I don't know. I mean, it's, for me, in my experience, when a leopard mother does this, it's normally not the best sign, unfortunately, that her cubs are not actually still around. Anyway, we're going to try and pull off, and we're going to try and sort of follow Tandy as long as we can, see where she takes us. Maybe she takes us back to the cub and all is all right, but let's give the others a chance in the meantime. And so while I give the others a chance, let's send you back across to Steve and see what he's up to and where he's off to now. Well, hopefully, Brenty, it would be nice if you find Kuchava and cub. I don't think we've had cub on drive yet, so it will be very, very, very good. Now, Tandy, as you can see, is still head sort of bashing bushes and marking as much as she can, and kind of scenting everywhere that she goes. She's pushed a little bit further west into the block and is now kind of mobile north again and away from us. Now, there's actually a vehicle, as you can see behind us, and they actually say that they've got friends that are watching our show. So, Yusuf, if you're watching, it is a warm welcome and hello from all of your friends that are here at Djuma, as well as, well, to the show itself, and hopefully you are participating and asking some questions. But they did say that I must say hello to you and that you would be watching. So, Yusuf, if you are watching, let us know, and you can do that hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on the YouTube chat if you are watching on either one of those. Anyway, let's carry on and catch up towards Tandy. Oh, so good to see her, though. Isn't she such a pretty leopard? I miss her. It's not nice that we don't get to see her as much as we did. We were so spoilt at one point. It was kind of, you'd go out and every day you knew that somewhere Tandy you had that sort of feeling that somewhere, somehow, you would be able to get a sighting of Tandy. And, you know, now over the course of the last few weeks, it's been really difficult in that regard, as we just haven't had those chances and those abilities to be able to kind of get great views of her and spend quality time with her. And I miss that. So it was such a epic time in December and January. Well, actually, November, December, January. It was just the most amazing kind of few weeks that we managed to get. And so hopefully she'll stick around, and the way that she's marking, she's definitely here to stay. Now, I wonder if she's going to go on top of this mound. You see she's striding straight towards the mound itself. So let's go position ourselves that we get her on the mound. It'll be so pretty if she does go up here. No, don't go round it. So she's going around it. Now, Catherine, if she has lost the cub, you're asking what would happen to her body or its body? Next. The cub's body or hers? To the cub's body. Oh, the cub's body will be eaten in about 2 minutes. A hyena will come across it, or various types of insects will get hold of it. You'll get vultures. Lots of different things will feed off a cub's body. So it will be a situation where it will just get snacked, unfortunately, which is, I suppose if it's dead already, then that's okay. But I have a funny feeling that if this cub is no longer here, then one of the boys got it. So either Hukumuri or Djuma got hold of this cub, if that's the case. I know Brent's had tracks for Djuma. I know we've had Hukumuri's had tracks going in that general direction. And so if she has lost it, probably one of them, and in which case, wouldn't be surprised that they actually just consumed it. It's an area that, well, it's a thing that they would do. It's ultimately, it's still nutrients. Hello, girl. Are you saying hello over the grass? So, Judy, no, I don't think so. Sorry, I'm trying to get forward. There's a big stump here. So let's try and get round. I don't think she's trying to scent mark to confuse Hukumuri. Ultimately, Hukumuri is going to have a very, very well-developed sense of smell. As she's able to track things, so he would be able to track her too. And so it's not going to confuse her or confuse him by her scent marking everywhere. It's actually just going to lead him towards her. Interestingly enough, though, I don't know if anyone remembers the Shadulu sighting we had a few days ago when she was kind of watching us on that termite mound and we found her up in a tree. This is the exact path that Shadulu walked, is past this dead tree. She then went up and will go down the slope a little bit, and then the big marula tree that she was sitting in should be straight north of us. So I wonder if she's not smelling Shadulu at the moment, and that's why she's walking this route. It's not far from where we were. We were a little bit kind of entered the block a little bit more to the sort of western side, but she did walk past this section going northward. So I think that's what Tandy's actually smelling more than she's smelling Hukumuri at the moment. She's watching people coming in and joining the sighting, and here she goes, carrying on going forward. So let's try and keep up with her and see where she goes from here. Either way, she's not stopping this afternoon. She's very busy. So Sinak, no, she's not marking for the cub to sense her and come to her. That's not how leopards work with their cubs. She will leave her cub somewhere and then she will call it and she will vocalize, and that will bring the cub out of where she left it. The cub knows not to move around. She's not leaving a trail for the cub at all. This is not how leopards will try and find their cubs. It's a different kind of situation with them. They will leave cubs. Cubs know they mustn't move, and then they'll kind of get called out. There we go. She's going up a termite mound, albeit the smallest termite mound that there is out here. She's kind of just watching. Now she's going to go and look at the marula tree, have a little rub on it, and off she goes again into the thickets. So she's in a situation where she's going through lots and lots of deep, dense thickets and going along. So Tax is letting us go. I was waving to Tax to go, but he's being very kind. Thank you, Tax, and allowing us through first, which is always nice. It's such a pleasure to work with Tax and Rex and Aubrey. They look after us so much, and they always are so kind of sort of, I don't know what's the word for it, cooperative and kind of helpful in what we do, and they realize how we kind of do things, and they often will stand by and let us go first and those kind of things. So it's always good to work with the guys, and they are a wonderful group of men. They're always very, very, very kind to all of us, so nice to have them around, that's for sure. Tandy still going northwards. I think she's going to be on a serious mission tonight. I don't think she's going to stop at all. So next, depends. I mean, I've seen some mother leopards leave their cubs for 2 days, others for 3 days. Sometimes they won't leave their cubs for more than a day. It just depends. Obviously, when the younger the cub is, the harder it is, or the shorter period that they leave them for, given that the cub has got to feed and all those kind of things. But that's the tree over there that Shadulu was lying in. So that marula tree right there is the tree that Shadulu was in a few days ago. So she's pretty much tracking Shadulu almost step for step at the moment. We'll just see where she goes from here, but that's about kind of how she's doing it. Now, there she goes, slinking through the long grass. You can see how difficult it is to see these cats at the moment. Once the grass dies back, it becomes a lot easier, but for now, quite tough. So we're going to try to keep up with her. While we do that, let's send you back across to Brent to see if he's had any luck with one of Tandy's daughters. She is indeed. So she's right out in the most beautiful grasses at the moment, kind of just ghosting through all of these sort of seeds that are there. And she looks as pretty as ever, does she not? She looks almost like a young girl in these sort of poses that she's got. She doesn't look as though she's 12 years old at all. She's looking very youthful today and is looking as good as I've seen her for a while. So glad that she's looking pretty good, and you can see she's her typical self walking right past, and no snarling today. Oh, nice little graceful leap as well. You're showing off today, Tandy, bar your little jump at the grass earlier. Otherwise you've been on proper show today. But she is aware of everything. It is amazing watching her. So, David, it is unusual that we do have more males than females at the moment, but it all stabilizes. This is how it goes. You go through ebbs and flows when it comes to dynamics of any of the territorial animals. Sometimes you will have an excess of males, sometimes you'll have an excess of females, and so it kind of just balances itself out eventually. But we are going through a period now where we've got a lot of males, and it really is an interesting kind of time at the moment because of how many males and females we've got and the complete changeovers within our dynamics of leopards. It's a tough time for all of our cats at the moment, and we'll delve into it a little bit more. I just want to try and keep up with her, make sure that we don't lose her through this thicket, because it's going to go down into a drainage line fairly shortly, and that's going to make life a little bit more difficult. So while I try and get across this drainage line and then sort of find Tandy again, let's send you back across to Steve and his feathered friend. Well, we're trying to keep up with her and trying to kind of stay the distance, if you want to call it that, and sort of follow her as she goes, but she really is going through dense thickets. The last time I saw her was just on this left-hand side. There she pops out right in front of us, so I'll just stop here for now because she's kind of walking ahead of me at the moment, and you can see her tail's up because of the birds that are shouting at her. There's a few cisticolas that are going crazy and making a little bit of noise. Now, I was saying we're in a state of flux, and it's an interesting kind of time because it's very seldom that you get a situation where you'll get both males and females in a state of flux like we currently have at the moment. It's not very often at all that these things happen, and so it's a kind of difficult situation, and one that probably is very seldom kind of experienced by anyone, really. It's not a situation that you have very often at all. No, this is not going to go down very easily because of where we are. Let's try a different way round. Just going to try and go up the bank where it's a little more gentle. I was just trying to kind of take the gap, but it's a little too undulating where we were going, so let's just hop up this side. It's going to be much quicker and much easier than going the other way. Right, there we go. And so I was saying it's very odd that you have this situation. Normally you'll have a situation where, you know, male would be in a state of flux, but the females would be pretty sort of settled, or you would have females in a state of flux and males in a sort of settled situation. But with Karula disappearing, our females were just starting to kind of settle down under the reign of Tingana, and then Tingana got ill, and so it's changed the whole dynamic between males, females, and all of the kind of things that have gone on. And the problem with it was that it just changed a bit of an sort of, the timing wasn't really very good because our females all fell pregnant to Tingana, and then we had a situation where he then obviously got ill and the Hukamuri arrived. So it's been a bit of a difficult time. The only difference between these females and sort of Karula, and I know, Pamela, if you're watching, you sent me a message the other day asking about this, as to why Karula was so much more successful with her cubs than maybe some of the other females in the area. And I can tell you the reason is more than likely that Karula used to go out of her way to try and find as many males as possible within her area. In fact, she used to go way out of her area to go and find males. I remember once seeing her on the Ottawa-Londolozi boundary with Elephant Plains, and, well, Arathus are private actually, and that is from here about a 45-minute drive, maybe an hour drive from here, which is very, 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 very far for a female leopard to be out of her territory. In fact, she crossed 3 other female territories just to get to there to mate with Tingana at the time, because Tingana wasn't actually the dominant male. Oh, look at the lights on her. So she used to move well out of her territory, and she used to go east, west, north, south to mate with every single male that she possibly could in order to probably ensure that those cubs were safe no matter what happened and what played out with the males. Now, I just want to try and get forward a little bit because the light on her as she comes into this afternoon golden sun should be absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Look at how her colors just completely pop as she kind of moves into the light. So Karula used to travel a lot more than what maybe Thandi, Shadow, any of the others have done. I mean, we know that Thandi, she didn't actually mate with, as far as we know, Quarantine or even Anderson on our edges, whereas Karula used to do that. She used to go all the way to the eastern Kruger boundary, mate with those males. Then she would go north. She would mate with Mvula. She would mate with Mufufinian. She would mate with whoever was around to try and kind of make sure that she protected protected and future-proofed her cubs probably a little bit better than any of the other females. And that's maybe why we've got a situation where, she was so much more successful in raising cubs and seemed so much more stable, even though the males around her were changing frequently. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Snoozy, no. So if Tandy was looking for her cubs, she wouldn't be scent marking like this, and she would be vocalizing. So she would be chuffing, she would be soft contact calling, she would be a lot more kind of incessant about the way that she was moving. Now she's just inquisitive at every branch and every stop because she's smelling something. She's also in a situation where she's scent marking a lot, but she's not trying to find the cub. If she was trying to find the cub, she wouldn't scent mark. She'd just rather be kind of chuffing and calling and trying to advertise to that cub to come out and to find her and to hear her and come bounding towards her, rather than just trying to kind of sit and not have a sort of a situation where any other animal could find her. If she's calling the cub, she doesn't want males or other females to be able to find her and to sort of endanger that cub's life in any way. There we go. She's sniffing around again. Again, we're right where Chitwa was the other day. Isn't it good to see her? I know a lot of you are Thandi fans, so I'm sure many of you are happy to see our beautiful girl. But what intrigues me with this situation and what's amazing is that, we sit and we see tracks of leopard and we say that they're very fresh and that this leopard can't be far. And I was saying earlier that the tracks are fresh, but within 2 hours or 2.5 hours, this cat is pretty much covered, I would say 60% of Djuma, or no, maybe 50% of Djuma already in 2 hours. So it gives you an idea of how sometimes tracking leopard is not for the faint-hearted and is a quick process that you need to do to try and keep up with them. So Magic Dragon Wizard, in terms of how far she'll go from the cub, the older the cub, the further she'll go. So, as the cub starts to be able to climb, fend for itself, then she'll go quite far. I mean, I've seen females going right to the edges of their territory with their cub being left on the far opposite side. So they do move them quite a long way, go quite a long way for them, or from them, should I say. And they do kind of move a lot. But in this case, I don't know, there's just something about this sighting that just doesn't seem to sit right in the way that Tandy's going about things. It just doesn't feel like she's kind of in a situation where she's just ambling and looking for food, and because generally when she's not with the cub, it's when she's hunting, and this situation just doesn't feel like she's in hunt mode. She feels like she's in full-on stalk mode, and not stalk mode, scent marking mode, and is in a sort of process where she's trying to sort of claim her territory back and trying to mark her boundaries once again. So I don't know, something just doesn't feel right about this sighting, and I don't know if it's because it's just that we haven't seen her this far west, but her behavior is of a cat that, I don't know, seems as though she's trying to reestablish the boundaries once again. So Bobby, most definitely female leopards will fight if they come across each other. There's been many a recorded case of females actually killing one another, and I've even heard of females killing each other's cubs. So they will fight if they come across each other. I mean, we know that Shadow and Tandy growled and hissed and carried on at one another. Whether they would have actually come to blows, I don't know. I think both cubs were there at the time, and so that made life a little bit more kind of difficult. But they will fight if they come across one another. So her and Shadulu would have a bit of a box if they do. And I actually think that leopards, females, will fight more readily than the males. The males know that they're both powerful animals and the fight could lead to serious injury, whereas females just, I don't know, maybe it's just that feminine sort of streak that they lose the temper and then they just kind of are protective and the motherly side of them comes out. So I'm not sure why it is that way, but it is the situation. You can see she's kind of striding off towards the sunsets at the moment. Just try to keep up with her. She's going to cross another drainage line shortly, which is going to be really difficult to get through, and it's where we lost Shadulu the other night. So I'm just hoping that she does it in a place that we're able to get through and not going to be too difficult for us. It seems as though she's slowed down a little bit now, which is nice. And so hopefully she's going to sit here for 2 minutes and let us have a really good look at her. what you rolling in, girl? Maybe she's found some buffalo dung to roll in. There's a few buffalo tracks around here, and that's what she could be rolling around. We know that they do like to roll in buffalo dung. Steve was talking about it earlier, that cats do sometimes do this. So she's probably just kind of, I don't know, is she eating something though? Sounds like she might be. No, she's definitely rolling in whatever it is. Are you going to sit down for a bit, girl? No, I don't think so. I think she's in a situation where she's just rolling on. Hopefully she'll roll onto her back. Sometimes they do when they roll onto their back and their paws go in the air and then they kind of just look at you from the corner of their eye. It's always the cutest kind of pose. There we go. Isn't that cute? Doesn't she look like she's having a bit of fun? So she's just covering herself with the scent of whatever dung is in there. I'm pretty sure it's buffalo dung that she's rolling in. This is generally what they use. They sometimes do it in impala dung if it's fresh, but there seems to be a lot of tracks for buffalo in this section. So the grass is a bit trampled here, and I'm pretty sure that's what she's kind of rolling about in. But at her playful best when she does that, and then up and go again. Oh, she is looking good. It's amazing how silent she is when she walks through the grass. Even though she was walking there, you couldn't hear a single thing as she slinked through those grasses. It's amazing to me how quiet these guys can be. Good, let's try and keep up again and keep making our way forward and sort of trying to stay with her. I just hope that when she goes through, like I say, this drainage line, it's through a place where we can actually cross it and get through. Now, who was it that was Scotty? Was it Scotty that got stuck here? I don't know, Nikki, do you remember when the wild dogs were around and we took a bumble? I think Scotty got stuck. Yes, this is that drainage line, Nikki. So Nikki knows what drainage line I'm talking about because I remember Scotty got stuck in said drainage line a few months ago. It was during our TV shows in February. So it's not a drainage line to play around in too much, and Nikki will know exactly what I'm talking about. So hopefully she takes us through a kind path and we'll be able to keep up with her for that period. It's almost time for the schools to join us, so it'll be nice. In fact, we've actually already gotten through. So here's Rebecca's Road. Huh, I didn't even realize we were this far already. Well, that's nice. I didn't have to worry so much. Excellent. So we're already on Rebecca's Road. There's Quarantine in the distance as well, and she should be coming pretty much straight towards us, although I just want to reverse back a little bit to give her some space. She's going to come out onto the road fairly close in front of us, and we don't want to cramp her style. She's got places to be and things to do, so let's not cramp the way that she's moving. But I think she's going to go straight across to that marula tree to go and mark. But you see how she's smelling and scent mark? I'm pretty sure she's going to scent mark again on top here. It looks as though she's just kind of going to give us a phlegm and grimace again at some point. There we go, phlegm and grimacing. So she's still picking up the scent of whatever other leopard she's been tracking around here. And she'll probably go towards that marula tree. If any other leopard did scent mark here, the marula tree is where they would have done it. There you go. See, she's scraping on top of where she just smelt. So whoever was the one that scent marked there, she's just urinated on top of. Now, the last leopard, like I said, that I tracked on this road would have been Hukumuri. He was here. When did we find him? The day that he bumped into Hosanna, that day, that's when we found him on this particular section, and he walked here and scent marked in these areas. So she's pretty much scent marking on top of his, and you see she gave a little spray, and now we'll head back down the road and back kind of to the way that she came from, which is amazing. So we're going to do a big circle at this stage. Now, we are on the road, so which means we're going to play leapfrog. There's some others that have joined us that would probably like to spend a bit of time, so we'll let them go ahead of us so that they can enjoy the view, and we'll just kind of hang back a little bit. So Tax will go first, and then while we do that, let's send you across to Steve, and I think he's just caught up with the Nkuhuma Pride. Well, indeed, we are with the magnificent Tandy, who's still busy scent marking, as you can see. Now, it is that time of the afternoon where we need to welcome the school that is joining us for the afternoon on this beautiful Monday afternoon here in South Africa and a Monday morning there in the United States. So Jefferson Elementary, it's wonderful to have you all with us. My name is Tristan. On camera today we've got VM, and we are coming to you live from South Africa, which means that we want to hear from all of you. So you must ask lots and lots of questions, and you can send your questions to your teacher, and your teacher will send them through to us. Now, our leopard that is moving over here is a epic female leopard that we've got. She is our most dominant female in the area, the one that we see probably the most normally. Lately it's been a bit different because there is a new male leopard that has been in the area that has been chasing her around because she has a cub. And what she's doing at the moment, she's not playing with the trees, is she's actually scent marking. So she's urinating, spraying her urine and rubbing her scent by using glands on her face all over the trees and making sure that any other leopard that walks here will know that she's been here. So that's what she's busy doing. Now, she's walked a long, long way today, and it's going to be difficult for us to try and keep up with her. So we're going to try and do that and try and see how far we can go. Unfortunately, it's going to get very thick in here in about 2 minutes, and it's going to become really difficult to try and follow her. Now, Jacob, the reason there's so many trees in our savanna is because we are in a type of savanna called a mixed woodland savanna. And so this is an area where lots of trees grow. Not all savannas are only grass and no trees, and it's why we're seeing a leopard. If we had a situation where we had only grass, leopards don't really like that, and they prefer treed areas. And so in this part of the world, we have a soil type as well as a type of water. Lots of water that we have here allows for trees to grow, which allows for dense, thick areas like this, and for us to be able to see a leopard. Now, she's chasing something. Hold on. Seems as though she's spotted something that she's busy chasing around. So I'm trying to get to where she is. It's just very difficult through all of these thickets. She is right there. So I don't know what... Oh, she's chasing a scrub hare. Look, the scrub hare is right in front of us. So the scrub hare doesn't know that she's here. Look, there's the scrub hare, and she's about 5 meters away. So what she's going to do is she's going to stalk, and she's going to get herself into a position where she's going to camouflage. And that's why she has spots, is to camouflage. It's called cryptic coloration or cryptic camouflage, and that means to hide away. And so her spots break up outline. Look, she's sneaking forward, and that scrub hare, if it doesn't know what it's doing, is going to get itself into a situation where she might grab it. So we're going to have to be patient, and we're going to keep our voices down because we don't want to disturb the scrub hare or the leopard. But she's very close. She's maybe 5 meters or so from that scrub hare, and the scrub hare, look, is no idea the leopard is there. Let's see. Now, last time we saw her with a meal was one of these scrub hares. Let's see if she's able to hunt it. She's just being patient. Leopards are the masters of being patient. See how she's sitting so still. She knows that any little bit of movement, any little sound could make the scrub hare run away. And the scrub hare is very fast, so she's trying to keep herself as still as possible, but to try and edge closer with her legs. And she's got a special way that she can walk called leopard crawl. Now, leopard crawl, you might have heard it before, is when an animal, or even us, we get low to the ground, and what she's doing, look at how slowly she's moving. Isn't this cool? Now, it's not every day you get to see a leopard stalking slowly through the bush like this. It's very cool. So I was saying what happens with leopard crawl is that they have collarbones. Now, a collarbone is a bone that is on your shoulder. So if you go and you touch on your shoulder towards your neck, there's a bone that runs there. Now, that's the collarbone. Now, with a leopard, they've got what's called a floating collarbone. And so that allows... Oh, there goes the scrub hare. No, so she's unfortunately not going to catch that. The scrub hare heard her coming and has run away, and so she'll carry on walking now. You see how she's changed her way. Now, leopards can run at about 60 to 70 kilometers an hour, depending on the terrain. And so this, which is in miles, it's about 30 miles an hour that she can go. So she's not the fastest of cats. The things like the cheetah and the lions are much faster than what she is. She's an animal that is designed for power. So she's able to catch things and pull them up into the trees and then hang it in there. And also designed to wrestle with really large animals. So Leopard is power, whereas a cheetah is the very fast one. So, Pedro, you were asking if she was going to catch the scrub hare. If she could, she would. She was hunting it. She just unfortunately didn't make her move fast enough, and the scrub hare got away from her. Good. Well, we're going to try and keep up with her. She's going into an impossible place. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep going and still see her. And so while we do that, let's send you across to my friend Steve so he can say hello to all of you. And he's also got another big cat to show you. Exactly, Brent. Leopards are the silent kind of masters of the bush, and so they like to keep as quiet as possible when moving through these places, because they don't want to give themselves away and make anybody know that they're here. So they're the kind of quiet animal that just slinks around. Now we're going to try and be as quiet as we can while we follow her, because we don't want to disrupt her in any way, but she's moving so fast it's making life very difficult. So Ali, she does walk in the grass without making any noise. Well, how she does it is because she's got very specialized feet. So she's got different feet to what we've got. We've got kind of, well, I suppose our feet would actually work really well too. It's just that we wear shoes, and shoes have hard soles, and that makes them very, very noisy. But with a leopard, and even with us, if you had to look at your hand, it's soft, isn't it? And so if you push it, it makes kind of a soft sound. Now, next time you're in grass, if you put your hand on the grass softly and gently and just do that, you'll feel that you'll hear that it doesn't make any sound. So leopards have soft pads with lots of hair around them, and that softens the sound. It dampens the sound, which means that it makes less sound, and so that's how they can move through very quietly. Also, leopards are very kind of patient animals, and they're very aware of what they're doing in their environment, and so they look very carefully where they're putting their feet. They're not like us, where we'll stomp our feet through and hit branches and leaves. These guys will look and make sure that their feet are going into places where there's not too many leaves and won't make too much noise. There goes another scrub hare. That's what gave her a little bit of a fright. So she's looking for scrub hares, and what she's doing is she's going for So, Bryson, leopards, it depends if we're talking about male or female leopards, but a leopard like this female over here, female leopards generally will get to anywhere between 60 pounds and 100 pounds, generally around there, sometimes even a little bit more, 110 pounds, and males, they can get anywhere from 100 pounds all the way to 200 pounds, which is quite large. So they do get very, very big, the males. And the thing is why there's such a big difference between the sort of sizes is because some leopards that occur in places like this, where there's lots of food, get very, very big. But other leopards that occur in mountains, like the ones that occur down in Cape Town, which is in the southern part of South Africa, those leopards survive off much smaller food items like birds and squirrels, and so they can't grow as large as the ones here. Right, she's carried on and moved off, and so while I try to catch up with her, let's send you back across to Steve and those tawny cats, and I wonder if they've woken up. Indeed, but you see our leopard has changed color, and the reason why our leopard has changed color is because we are in a very special mode on the camera called infrared. Now, infrared allows us to watch this leopard without having to disturb it by putting lights on it. So we're able to see the leopard in the dark, and we can see what it gets up to, but we don't have to shine a light on it, which means that we don't have a situation where we are interrupting the leopard's behavior and showing it to any of the animals that are out here at night, because there are things like kudus and impalas and all these type of antelopes that the leopard likes to eat and hunt, and if we were to put lights on it, then they'll spot her very easily, and it'll make it very difficult for her to hunt. So we can now follow her without having to worry at all about hunting and, well, disturbing anything that's going on. So we're just following her along. She seems as though she's still kind of scent marking and is not really that interested in hunting at the moment. We had some kudu, which is a type of antelope, a very big antelope that we're walking around, and she watched him for a bit and then she just kind of carried on. So I think it's a situation where she's not really interested in hunting. She's more trying to mark territory. Now, Brianna, the leopards have such long tails because they are climbing cats. So they go up into trees, and that means that they have to balance when they're up in trees. Also, when they're chasing, they have to turn very quickly. And so those long tails help to be able to basically keep the cat balanced in the tree and also balanced while hunting, that they can then grab on to the sort of prey that they are chasing. So that's why it's important that they have nice long tails. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get a sort of view from the front and be able to show you what she looks like from the front. And how I'm going to do that is I've got to go around her. So we're going to give somebody else a chance to see her, and we're going to shoot around. So I'm just going to peel off this way, and while I do that, let's send you back across to Steve with the lions, and I hope that they're going to get up and start walking like the leopard. Well, our leopard unfortunately has just gone into the thickets and gone away from us, and so I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to see her. Unfortunately, in here is as difficult as it gets when following an animal. In fact, I've lost her already. I can't even see where she's gone. I'm going to have to get my spotlight out, because otherwise I'm going to struggle to find her. Where did she go? Now, she's probably heading towards a certain pan. Oh, there she is, right here. She's just in front of me. So you can see how difficult it becomes to see her. Look at how she disappears in the long grass. So she's kind of just moving in front of me, and I'll stop here so that we can actually see her kind of going and moving a little bit away from us. But like I say, she goes through here. There might be a situation where we're not going to be able to keep her for much longer. We're going to try our very best, though. So, Charlie, you are inquiring as to why a spotted coat helps a leopard from hiding. Well, look at that, Charlie. Watch when it goes through the grass and when there's a few trees. See that? It goes away immediately. And the reason why is because they have these spots break up the outline. And so when they're in thickets where there's trees, there is what's called dappled light. So dappled light is where there is bright light and dark light, bright light, dark light. So if you're in a shadow and you put your arm into the sun, you'll see that you've got bright sunlight and then you've got shade. Now, with a leopard, because they spend a lot of time in those areas, they need to have some dark and some light, which helps to blend and helps to look the same as what they're walking in or sitting in, and that's why they have the spotted coat and why it works so well. Now, where did she go? I've lost her already. She seems to have already gotten away from me. VM, can you see her? No, so VM can't see her. I can't see her. So I don't know which way she went. She was here 2 seconds ago, and now she's gone. So I'll just try and see if I can find her. While I have a little look, let's send you back across to Steve and the lions, who are being a lot more cooperative than our leopard.